Good afternoon, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101, and I basically want to tell you whatever you think you see, there's more to you than meets the eye. Whatever you see in the mirror, there's a better reflection on the other side. I want you guys to understand this very importantly. I want to go over some African contribution as well as Black American contribution to this world, because for some strange reason, we believe that we are not the people that are in a place of power, and that we have a presence of knowledge and intelligence that we can do better than what we see. When we look at ourselves, we look at our family, we look at where we come from, and we see drug dealers, we see drug pushers, we see drug users, we see people who are fraudulent, we see criminals, we see crooks, we see rapists. But you know that we are more than that. You know that we are more than that. We are very intelligent people, but throughout the course of time, we have had Anglo-Saxons, Europeans, and Asian, and mostly to tell us that we are dumb, that we are 3/5 of a human, that none of us are intelligent. We have been restricted to learn. We have been forbade to even go out and invent. But let me give you some feasts. Let me give you some victories of our people. When it comes to burial and mummification, we understand that that came out of Africa. Okay, the preserving of someone's body. Do you also understand agriculture? That also came out of Africa. Agriculture and also irrigation. The way that we planted bushes and the way we planted trees to grow more plentiful, okay, in a particular area that was moist ground. And then if we couldn't get in, if the ground was not moist, or it had a regular irrigation either from the rain or from the soil, that we directed ponds, lakes, rivers, and bodies of water to irrigate that agriculture. This is from our people. Coffee, we understand that coffee is out of Ethiopia. Architect, the first sign of large architectural design was out of Zimbabwe, where a Portuguese military person came upon a structure that was 30 feet high that was built without mortar. And it's like, this structure is older than we've ever seen, and it was still solid. See, there's a lot of things in our history that we need to go back and show our kids to let them know who we are. If you only go to slavery, the only thing that you're going to think is that we've always been slaves. No. First and foremost, let's get out the term of our ancestors were slaves. They were enslaved Africans. They were great people. But we're going to get to Black Americans and what we have done, because we are descendant of that greatness, and we've always been great. We've always been great. What about cosmology and also astrology? We are the ones who actually found it. Okay, through the basic terms of observation. They wanted to know that the Dogon people, it's like, how do they come about? How do they come about learning this information? They learned this information through observation. Observation of the stars and way the moon and everything moved in the sky. Also, have you noticed throughout the course of time, there have been different ages? So you had the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and then the Metal Age. Did you know that Africans did not have a Bronze Age? They went from Stone Age to Metal Age, and understanding the elements, how you form it together with heat and water and different metals with rocks to form metal and shape them in the way that they wanted to before the Western world, France, Europe, Belgium, Portugal, Germany, doesn't matter. We already was creating metal objects with art. See, we have to know these things and understand who we are, where our roots come from. Yeah, our roots come from our ancestors who were enslaved Africans from the continent of Africa. But the question you should have, ladies and gentlemen, who were we prior to slavery? What are some of the contributions that we've made to this world? We've made the largest contributions to this world. Let me give you something very interesting. A lot of people say they want some curry food, right? Curry, C-U-R-R, curry food. So mostly two people find out, okay, well, it's either Indian food or Caribbean food. Okay, mostly, I believe Jamaican. But did you know that those spices originated out of Africa? And when the Moors, M-O-O-R, you saw the thumbnail, when the Moors was traveling through the seas, right? That they spreaded these spices, these scents throughout the entire world. Because that's our number one achievement, exploration of different continents. See, before the fraudulent, the Christopher Columbus ever thought about traveling seas in the 1400s, the Moors and African people had already been to those different continents and already settled the land. Go back if you want to know about Africans and Moors, which is the same thing. They're harmonious with each other. That they're the ones who conquered Spain. At one point in history, Moors are the ones who conquered Spain. I'm only going to touch on a little bit of this information because I don't want to get too deep, but I want you guys to learn this information. I want you to understand the people you come from, the legacy that you have on this earth. Because the only thing that the media, the hybrid media, the white media will tell you is that we are just dumb, stupid, thugs, criminals, and that we should be put down like rabid dogs. Without us, some of these things would never came to pass. They probably would have been after hundreds of thousands of years. What about mathematics? Did you know that the contribution to this earth of mathematics, the discovery of mathematics, were by the way of the Ugandans and the people from the Congo, the Republic of Congo? Did you know that they discovered math? Look up the Ishango bone, Ishango bone. Look that up. Because when the Europeans were like, what are these bones with these? Oh, they're just keeping record. But they come to find out that on those two bones, that it had prime numbers, multiplication table, just on bones. And how they, the Ugandans and the people of the Republic of Congo, actually develop a system and development of mathematics. So when we go through some of these things, I want you to understand the contributions we have made to this world. Medicine. We won't go through all the different things we have done with medicine, but did you know that the Ugandans, before anyone else, developed how you do a C-section? Guess what they use as an antiseptic? Guess what the Ugandans use as an antiseptic? They use banana wine. See, it was this English guy back in the 19th century who went over there. His name was Robert Felkin. Look him up, Robert Felkin. And he was observing the procedure of a shaman cutting a woman open with a knife. But before he did that, he gave the woman a large sum of banana wine to get her tipsy. Essentially, when you drink, you don't feel as much pain, okay? Gave her wine, washed her stomach with banana wine, washed his hand with banana wine, then rinse it off with clean water. The Ugandans are the one who came up with C-sections. But see, in today's medicine, we don't know these great feats that our people, that our ancestors have done because they overshine that with stupidity. They overshine that with racism. They overshine that under the system of white supremacy, that we are nothing more than criminals, that we are nothing more than slaves, that we are nothing more than dumb. But we're much more than that. We're much more than that. What about writing? Writing. Okay, a lot of you guys know about hieroglyphics. I don't even need to get into that, how that came out of Egypt. And see, a lot of times when people look at Egypt today, they see a lot of light-skinned people. But Egypt back then were people who looked like me. They were dark-skinned before the Arabs came over from the Middle East, okay, and kind of pushed the dark Africans down below the equator, the sub-Saharan Africans. But before that, the Africans, the Egyptian looked just like you and I. Last but not least, as I said before, these people, our people, have explored, discovered, and settled this entire world. How do you think Christopher Columbus made it to the Americas? See, some people just think, no. When the Moors were in Spain, when the Moors were in Portugal, he asked them, where did you come from? And these are how nice we were. See, where people don't understand that Black people are very forgiving, we're very loving, but the nature that we're in now is because just like anything else, fight or flight. When you have our backs against the wall, we then become what? We then become what? Very unapproachable. We become very furious. We're fighters. We're warriors by nature. Because if you go back and you look at any history, whether it be African history or you do a section on Moor history, we have always been warriors and we've always been feared. See, it doesn't matter if it's a group of 5 Black guys and there's a group of 10 Asians or 10 Hispanics. Why we're always the most feared? I just want to leave you guys with this information. Now, Black American history. See, we understand that we derive from greatness. So we talked about how we came up with burial, agriculture and irrigation, coffee, architect, stoneworks, metal elements, cosmology, astrology, mathematics, writing. Think about that. Exploration, navigation. We were the first navigators on the sea. We are the ones who discovered all these lands. Just do your history. And what I love about history, ladies and gentlemen, is that even though I know there's a system, a world system of white supremacy that they try to bury the history, every now and again, like a person like Robert Falcon, the one who actually observed the C-section in Uganda in the early 19th century before the West or anyone else have ever seen it or heard of it before, women just were dying. People like him recorded this history, okay? They took track and recorded this history and published it. And see, once you start publishing these documents and it started getting different places, different cities, different towns, different countries, different continents, it is hard for it to be erased. It is hard for it to be erased. Good afternoon, Nolan Baptiste. So these are the things that I want you guys to keep track of. Now, moving on to Black American history, some of you already know a lot of the things that we've discovered, but there's a list, a long laundry list of all the inventions, creation, discovery, methods, and systems that we've done. And I want you guys to look at this with me. Now, I'm going to try not to name all of it because a lot of this actually needs to be put out. So let's look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Black inventions and their inventors. Black inventors and their inventions. Paper, Africans. I forgot the name paper. Okay, I have my notes. Forgot the name paper. Chess, Africans. See, the Europeans do a lot of the things that we showed them. And what they did was they glorified it in such a way that we forget that we discovered, meaning the modern day African descended people, you and I. Because now where's the Grand Master Championships held at? In England? But chess is an African game. And believe it or not, chess was first developed for what? War strategy. War strategy. That's why I encourage all of you guys to learn how to play chess, not checkers. The alphabet, we went over writing, medicine, civilization, the aeroplane propellant system, James S. Adams. I'm just going to go over the names of the inventions versus the names who invent them. You can look for that as yourself as I'm going down. The biscuit cutter, folding bed, coin changer, rotary engine, car coupler, letterbox, stainless steel pads, torpedo discharger, disposable syringe, home security system. Everybody know about Marion Brown. That's back in New York. Corn planter, cotton planter, ironing board, street sweepers. I hope they're not talking about the gun. I'm just regular. Okay. Horseshoe, lawnmower, typewriter, train alarm, radiation detector, peanut butter, paints and stains, lotion and soaps. Because we understand that black people, we've always been a very, very clean people. Okay, before the Europeans even knew about hygiene, back in the 7th century BC, we were using shea butter and other butters to clean ourselves. We've always been very hygienic people. This is nothing new to us. Automatic fish reel, ice cream mold, printing press, window cleaner, pencil sharpener, fire extinguisher, lock, shoe lasting machine, lubricators, elevator, gas mask, traffic signal, hairbrush, heating furnace, airship, the blimp. We came up with the blimp. Hand stamp, fountain pen, dustpan, insect destroyer gun, baby bugger, sugar refinement, clothes dryer, cellular phone, pressing comb, curtain rod, lawn sprinkler, multi-stage rocket, video commander, programmable remote control, space shuttle retrieval arm, guided missile, pacemaker controls, ice cream, blood plasma. Okay, blood plasma. Everybody know about Dr. Charles Drew. Super soaker. We talked about Lonnie Johnson. Helicopter, Paul E. Williams. And then all of these by Granville T. Williams. Talking about the auto air brake, the roller coaster, electric railway system, galvanic battery, electric mechanical brake, telephone system, relay instrument, electric cutoff switch, telephone transmitter, fire escape ladder, stair climbing wheelchair, the mop, refrigerator, hydraulic shock absorber, electric lamp, bottle caps, clothes dresser, refrigeration controls, starter engine, starter generation, internal combustion engine, two-cycle gas engine, air conditioning unit by Frederick M. Jones, egg beater, wrench, eye protector, bicycle frame, kitchen table, gas burner, lantern, thermal hair curlers, motor, guitar. Yes, guitar. Okay, Robert Flemings. And we understand who's the father of rock and roll, right? Okay, we know who's the father of rock and roll, and it sure damn ain't Elvis. I put that on another video. I want to keep you guys intrigued so you can go do this research yourself. But we are great people. Is it in Africa or America? We talked about coffee, architect, cosmology, astrology, metal elements, mathematics, writing. What else we have on this list? The toilet, photo embossing machines, photo print wash, doorknob, doorstop, arm for record player, piano, player piano, shoe, horse riding saddle, your analysis machine, street sweeper, automatic gear shift. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of these things on this list, believe it or not, like the toilet, was already in Africa. We're talking about a modern day toilet because when I went to Korea, you go inside of some of their public bathrooms, you go in and you think you're going to find a toilet. No, you're going to find a hole in the ground that once they take a dump, because they just squat down, it goes in some sort of deposit where they collect it and dump it out later. That was first discovered in Africa, inside of huts. So they wouldn't have to go outside their hut to go use the bathroom. And they made lids first with wood. And then when they came into the metal age, they made it with metal so they could confine it better so the smell wouldn't seep out. Because we understand that wood is very porous, okay, depending on the type of wood that you have. So they started using metal. But they will squat down in the corner of their hut and take dumps. That's what we need to understand. But see, a lot of that didn't come out of Africa. Even in the pyramids, they had places because pyramids were very, very large constructions. So they wasn't coming out the pyramids to use the bathroom. They had places where they would take dumps in the ground, and then servants below would take the basket or whatever container that they had and dump it later. So some of these things of the way how we were much more civilized than any other Western country doesn't come out because it's always buried with rhetoric and manipulation that our people, doesn't matter if you're in Africa or America, that we're dumb. This whole list is only a portion of some of the contributions we've made to this world. We've made a lot of contributions. And what I love about this is that they have the names. We don't see, you can't write if you don't have paper. See, we used to write in the sand. They used to call it sand script. Remember that? You guys heard of sand script because we used to write in the sand because we first came up with writing. Then we said, well, how can we transfer this information from one generation or one person to another? So they came out with paper. But see, they would have you to believe that when the Egyptians discovered this, that these Egyptians were just Arabs, that they were of white descent. Okay, no, that's incorrect. And see why this is intriguing, and I believe that you should know, because a lot of time we idolize, we mirror what we've done historically. You have to reinforce your imagery with positivity. You have to know what people before you have done in order for you to know what you can do. For some strange reason, there is an age currently that a lot of us are no longer inventing things. But let me show you an invention that this Nigerian, I believe is Nigerian, that he's making a solar panel car. Now, right now, you guys may laugh at it. You might laugh at it, but he's going to redefine this thing. Excuse me, he's not Nigerian, he's Kenyan. He's Kenyan. Let me show you this. Let me show you the picture here. Now, I have a couple of pictures. Give me 1 second. Let me get my pictures together, guys. That we need to understand that we're still inventing things, but now we're not inventing things like we used to. And I think we need to get back to that. Thank you, Thorough. Thank you for dropping a like. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and like and share, because these inventions, these discoveries, these creations that our African people have done, African descendant people have done. See, I'm not going to even get on war, how we was great generals, how we conquered Spain, how we settled the world. I'm not going to get into all of that. I'm talking about mathematics, writing, architecture, cosmology, astrology, medicine. We was using banana wire as an antiseptic while people in Europe, in the Western world, were dying. Okay? When they were trying to conduct certain things, they're like, how can we stop this fungus? How can we stop germs from killing the people when we're trying to conduct these surgeries? We've already discovered those things. Let me show you these. Give me 1 second. Let me show you these pictures real quick of this Kenyan. Now, let me just show you this very quick. This is very important because these companies are in Africa. Now, this is a solar panel bike. If you see right here, solar sickles empowering people, okay? Look at this. Now, you may think that this is silly. I see something great that's about to occur, because this is an electric bike that doesn't look like much right now, but it's solar powered. As you can tell right here, let me blow this up. There's a large solar panel dish on top where there's wires running, and they're going to redefine this and make this even better, okay? It says 3 African countries are plotting the use of 3- and 4-wheel solar panel bikes, okay? Now, this is not the picture I wanted to show you. This is one of the picture, okay? But this car is a solar panel car. But there's another car out there that is a large solar panel on a buggy that he continues to redefine and redefine. That is the picture that I'm trying to show you. Just bear with me as I find that picture, because this is very important that we understand that we are still inventing and making the world a better place. I think this is the one. Yes, here we go. This is the one, family. This is the one I wanted to show you. Now, he is Nigerian. I was right about that. Now, see, this is what I love. Now, you may think this is very, very silly because he hasn't redefined it yet, because he's still trying to figure out how to integrate the solar panel in the roof and still paint over it so the car looks regular. We continue to contribute to this world. It doesn't matter if it's in Africa or America. All the inventions and developments and methods that we've made for this country, that we've made for this world. But let me let you read this a little bit about this one, okay? Because this is important. A Nigerian student of engineering just retrofitted an old Volkswagen Beetle and turned it into a solar and wind powered car. Let me tell you how. Within a year, the final year student managed to convert the Beetle into a zero. Listen to this. He converted it into a zero emission off-road car using scrap materials offered by his friends or relatives, spending slightly less than 5,000 euros. He installed a photovoltaic panel on the car roof and a fan in the engine compartment to recharge the battery while driving. So the car can also work with no sunlight. So the car is again solar paneled and wind power car. So when there's no sun, he can use the wind power at night. We are intelligent, creative people no matter where we go. No matter where we go. Let me continue. The gentleman stated that the batteries take 5 to 6 hours to charge, but he is trying to improve both battery efficiency and charging speed. The African student equipped the Beetle onboard computer with several apps communicating through the GPS system and monitoring the conditions of the car's technology equipment. It looks very robust, doesn't it? I wanted to reduce carbon dioxide emission from going into the atmosphere that led to climate change or global warming. Therefore, I came up building a car that will use both wind and solar energy for its movement. This was my personal project because of the problem I'm planning to solve. You see that? African descended people have always found a problem and solved the problem. We are great people. We are intelligent people. We are more than what you see in the mirror. The young Nigerian student is next planning to design and build wind and solar power cars in Nigeria. Tesla Motors, listen to this. Tesla Motors would better keep a close eye on it. Let me do a rundown, family, because I don't want this to go in one ear and out the other. First, let me drive this point home. I don't know what each one of you, when you get up in the morning to start your day, I don't know what you see in the mirror. Hopefully it's not someone who's unintelligent, dumb, stupid, a thug, emotional. I hope it's not that. Hopefully you see someone who's a problem solver, a creator, an inventor, an intelligent person, a developer, a business owner, a mogul. Hopefully you can be a person who discovered mummification, agriculture, irrigation, coffee, architecture, stone, cosmology, astrology, metal elements, mathematics, medicine, writing, exploration. Maybe you can do some of the feats of our African ancestors, from the continent and also from this land. Maybe you can come up with a folding bed because L.C. Bailey did. Maybe you can come up with a rotary engine because Andrew J. Beard did. These are African descended people. These are Black Americans. This is a whole list of Black inventors and their inventions. Maybe you can come up with the next toilet commode, the next guitar. See, every time somebody sees somebody with a guitar, they are thinking about a white person. I'm from Washington, D.C., where we had go-go bands and they used guitars. Some of the great prominent music singers use guitars that are Black. What about this? The lawnmower. Let me tell you, a lot of these inventions, ladies and gentlemen, especially ones when you see like the word cotton and sugar cane and stuff like that, when you come down here and you see pressing comb, cellular phone, lawn sprinkler. Let me tell you why we created and developed and invented these things. Can I tell you why? As Black people, we see a problem and we're like, okay, I'm out here working my ass off. There has to be an easy way. There absolutely has to be an easy way, and I'm going to figure it out. Because we understand lawn sprinkler systems, we came up with two ways. One that's on top of the ground and one that's underneath the ground. I've seen people make their own lawn sprinkler system. What they do, they keep it in their garage, and it's a bunch of PVC pipe. They hook up the fittings, right, of their water hose to this PVC pipe, lay it on top of their grass, and then it irrigates their, it lawn sprinkles their grass. Then once they're done, they unscrew it, they lick it out, they put it back in the garage. That's the cheap way. Now, digging up the ground, burying it, and then putting the grass and the sod over it, that's the advanced way. But did you know that we also made guided missiles? These are our inventions. What about Otis Boykins also making the pacemaker controls? You can thank August Jackson's for ice cream. This is the information we don't know. Because when you look at media, mainstream media, how do they show us? With a gun. They show us as a gang. Family, let me show you I'm going to show you what you are. Can I do that? I want to make sure you see this from my perspective. Because you need to know what you see in the mirror. Give me 1 second. Let me blow this up. Let me blow this up. Let me see if I can blow this up and switch it over. Just give me 1 second, family. I'm going to switch my screens really, really quickly. Because I want to show you something, okay? This is who we are, family. This is who we are. See, on the left, you see, give me a second, family. Give me a second. I'm gonna get myself together. I want to break this picture down to you because it took me a long time. Let me show you something. Give me 1 second. I want to break this picture down to you, family. The background you see in this thumbnail is the ghetto. These three pictures you see here that's faded out are three convicts. And this picture right here, you see that's a gang. I won't say what gang it is, but this is a gang. Then on the right, way in the background up here, this is an office building. Here, you have a group of Moors. You come from a great people. Then here are Black businessmen. See, when some of you look in the mirror, you see this because you're from the ghetto and you understand by you being in a gang can land you as a convict. But this is how we see ourselves. We don't see ourselves as businessmen. We don't see ourselves descending from great people. See, when you look up the word Moor, the most you're going to see is that the Moors are from North Africa and that they are Black and white. Now, the Moorish people came from the entire continent of Africa. But have you noticed anything that we create, everything that we discover, have you noticed has always been outshined by some white ruler, by some white entity or system? But history, if you dig deep enough, if you're hungry enough, you will find this information. And let me tell you one more thing about this picture, because it took me a minute to actually think about how I wanted to do this thumbnail. More than what you see. We understand that the Moors were navigators. They were explorers, and they did it on the sea. Can I educate you, family? Let me educate you one really quickly, because I want to show you how deep this goes. And then I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to leave it alone. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Now I'm going to break this off 1 more second. I'm going to switch screens 1 more time, family. Give me a second here. I got to switch everything back around again. I really want you guys to see this. There we go. Okay. Moor can mean fertile land, agriculture, irrigation. It can mean navigation of ships and anchoring. It can deal with society and government. Do you understand that we developed civilizations through governments? See, if you go back in history, how African tribes had chiefs, but they also had their eldermen. That's what you call kind of like Congress. Well, even though the chief has the final decision, aka the president passing things into law, right? But they still took the advice of the eldermen, the tribesmen, the head tribesmen. We understand that, right, family? So when we look at these things, we have developed societies and government. Everybody had their place. Think about it like this. And we were the first people, and we had kings and queens. That already shows you a monarchy. It already shows you a hierarchy, okay, hierarchy of positions. But see, when we think of monarchy, we think about Europe, don't we? When we think about kingdoms, we think about Europe, don't we? No, kingdoms, monarchy, the system, government, society was all developed and curated in Africa. We have always been a civilized people. Thank you, Percy. I appreciate your donation, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. And with a lot of people, and I found this out from my brother. Thank you, Keith. Just to see if you're watching this or not. I don't know. But thank you. Moor. It deals with enlightenment, since a variation of Moor is Moor, which means of light. Is also an African language. See, you are more than what you see in the mirror. This is deep. This has layers. You guys are navigators. You guys spew intelligence. I hate when people tell me I have a great idea. What are you doing about your great idea? Well, I don't have any money. What are you doing to go get more money? You know the problem, figure it out. Stop waiting for people to lend you a helping hand. You can go around, you can have people to try to sponsor you, benefactories, you could try it all. But at the end of the day, you need to go out and get yours. Because people before you, in lesser times, in more racist times, did more than what you're doing right now. They did more than what you're doing right now. You think Gerd A. Morgan, when he ran inside of a burning building with his gas mask on, that he invented the first gas mask. They call it a smoke hood. Okay, when he first developed it, they called it a smoke hood because it prevented smoke once he put it on from going inside of the mask. That is what we need to understand. When we talk about elevator, Alexander Miles. And did you know even the automatic elevator doors was also invented by a black man? What about the home security system? Where's Miriam at? Where you at, Miriam? Where my girl at? That's my girl right there. Right here, home security system. Mary Brown. Family, I implore you, I encourage you to know who you are. See, you're not exactly these people, but you are these people. You are creators, you're developers. You build things. See, you governments just don't poof and come poof. We build governments. We build kingdoms. When I used to watch all these movies, right? You know, all these medieval movies. We used to, all these movies when they're fighting on knights and swords and horses and all of that. You guys remember that, right? You used to watch all these. You never seen African movies like that. But Africans are the one that came up with stone walls the first. Not the English. They got it from us. See, a Portuguese general went over to, where was it? I believe it was Zimbabwe. He went over to Zimbabwe and came upon a large structure, stone walls that was built without mortar. And he was trying to figure out how did they build that high without mortar, and it's sturdy and strong, and we can't get through it. We can't penetrate it. And come to find out that this structure, not only how high and how strong, and it wasn't degrading, but it was there almost 100 years prior, way before they developed mortar to do their walls. And they still trying to figure out how the hell did these Africans build these pyramids. What about Alexander the Great? When he went over to Egypt to conquer them, a lot of people ask, why didn't Alexander the Great go south and continue to conquer the rest of Africa? Well, I believe it was Ethiopia. The queen of Ethiopia at the time knew about the war, gathered her armies up. And so she's up on an elephant. So they were used to horses, mules. But she was up on an elephant. And when Alexander the Great army was about to come past the border, they saw the queen and other prominent figures up on elephants, and it scared the shit out of them. They didn't know what to do. How do you believe India? See, family, you're not listening to me. Because we like to contribute all of these things that when we go to certain places to different races, but we don't understand that a lot of these things of today in this world came from African people. People that look like you and I. They're from the continent of this land. See, earlier I talked about how a lot of times when we think about curry food, we think about Indians, okay, East Indians. But we're the one who brought those spices to India. And also the riding of elephants. A lot of people think that was India and also Thailand. We are the ones who first domesticated elephants to ride them. And here's another thing that people don't know about. When we're talking about the first cowboys were white, and ladies and gentlemen, let me find this one invention so you guys to understand. Now, most people understand that it's very hard to stay on a horse without a saddle. Let me just look for this really, really quickly. Let me look for this very, very quickly. Let me show you this, family. What'd I say? WMD Davis horse riding saddle. But let's just do a small project, and I'm gonna get off here very soon. Let's just type in who invented the first saddle is believed to have been invented back in 365 by Sumerians, proud horsemen who used their horses in battle. Their saddle creations were brought back to Europe by them. Okay, let's look into it. This is very important. You have to know who invent these things, family. So your question is, who are these people right here? Again, I like to point out these things because we don't know who we are. So I'm taking the time today to show you. Now, they will have you to believe. Let's see here. It said a purge on hordes of Huns migrated after 300 sent to southern Russia. Blah, blah, blah. What country? Let's look at that. What country? Because everything we do is stolen. Look at this. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out a lot of things that occur in history of certain developments, creations, and inventions, and who we are and what we have contributed to this land. So every time you write something, think about yourself and what you can achieve, because our African ancestors developed that. When you look up to the stars in astrology and cosmology, our African brothers and sisters founded and created a system to read that. Why do they? Here's another question. Why were we so intrigued about astrology and observation? Because we understood, even with that, and with the in conjunction with mathematics and astrology, we knew when to plant certain plants and bushes and food, okay, agriculture, and when not to. Different parts of the season with astrology and math, because we understand the way we used to, tell time. It was with the sundial, but a lot of us don't know this information. A lot of us don't know this information. Let's see. I got one more thing, because we understand how our history is buried, and I know I'm going too long, but I'm very intrigued to show you guys this stuff. Let's see if they get this one right. I'm reading right here, family. Give me 1 second, because this is they're not really saying who did it. Because look at this. This is how they do, family. It says the Iron Age was a period in human history that started between 1200 BC and 600 BC, depending on the region, and followed the Stone and Bronze Age during the Iron Age. People across much of Europe, Asia, and parts of Africa began making tools and weapons from iron and steel. You see how they're not trying to give us the contribution and the discovery of metal elements, and how we were the first to conform and put together metal. And this to let you know, the first people from the African continent that discovered how to put rocks that were metal and water and heat together was the Nigerians. That's what we need to understand. But a lot of this information in Nigeria, iron was fundamental to the rise of several important tasks. The pounding of metal. We understand that the pounding of metal is shaping metal, with the heavy and awkward to alleviated through musically, blah, 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 blah. But family, it's very hard to find this information, and that we was the first. Because here's the thing, if the only thing I show you is that the only thing you guys are good for is working at Burger King, McDonald's, and being a servant at some sort of restaurant, and that you guys cannot build and create your own business. Because every time I say, hey man, who can build the best houses? First thing, oh man, the Mexicans, man. The Mexican build. Family, when the Moors were traveling around the world, they showed, after they conquered Spain, they showed the English and the Portuguese how to build houses, how to build castles. The first castles are in Africa. See, Family, the reason why I'm like this, because this is information that we really don't know. Because every time I look up the first castles, this is what I get. Castles were introduced into England shortly before the Norman conquest in 1063. Before the 12th century, castles were as common in Denmark as they've been in England before the Norman. We don't get any credit. But the first castles were in Africa. Let's see if they. Let me see if I can trick the system. It said 1200, right? It says, here's a castle in Ghana. It says 1492. But people don't even know about these castles. We had castles. They got it from us. They're not giving me enough information. But see, if you don't, these things, hopefully these things intrigue you enough so you know the people and the inventions that we are capable of. Again, we are very intelligent people, and it all started off with making something easier. Now, if I go back to here to my form, right? If I go back here, and I type in the word cotton, because we understand them white people want cultivating no freaking cotton. Cotton planter, Henry Blair. Corn planter, Henry Blair. While we were enslaved, our ancestors, when they were enslaved, they was like, how can I make this easier? I have no other choice. I get killed, I'll get raped, I'll get hung, I'll get burned. How do I make this process easier of planting and picking cotton? We always was presented a problem either on our own accord or by force. And we solved it. I forgot I was watching a movie. It was a couple of years ago. And I think they took it off TV, but it was showing how a black guy was building a house during slavery times. And his so-called master was like, hey, when you'll be finishing, that part of the house and chicken coop. The reason why I'm getting at is because when we think about certain topics, we always go to that particular people, and we like to give honor and homage to those people, whereas though we are the ones who first developed it, who first invented it, first found it. But we don't know this information. We keep giving all glory, okay, and recognition to other people. And it's the lack of knowledge. It's the lack of research. Don't you want to know where you come from? Don't you want to know what you can be? Don't you want to know what you are? I'm from Southeast DC. And it doesn't matter if you're from LA, Detroit, Baltimore, all the boroughs in New York, Georgia, Atlanta, prominent black cities. When you go inside those cities, you see ghettos. You see homelessness. When I go to Dallas, I see ghettos. I see ran down neighborhoods that black people are living in, homeless people strung out on drugs. So when you wake up in the morning, that is what you see. And you don't see a way out. But these people, these Black American inventors, they saw a way out. They saw something better. Whether it be the Kenyans, the Nigerians, the Rwandans, the Ugandans, the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, all of those great African countries also came up with inventions and created things out of nothing. If you're telling me that our African brothers and sisters throughout the course of time on every continent. Not only were we developers and creators, we were people of great power. Great power. For some reason, people don't understand that there were African slaves in India. And those African slaves not only gained their freedom, but they began to be royal guards in India. And that there was a black Indian ruler in India. And one of the whitest countries in the world, Russia, did you know that there was a black Russian general? How in the hell do all these black people navigate the world, settle the world, were enslaved, came out of slavery, and came on top? Did I just do something right there? Do you understand? That we may seem that though we are on the bottom right now, but I'm gonna tell you we're on the top. We have to keep, first and foremost, we need to understand and recognize who we are. Then when you know who you are, you then need to develop who you are and educate yourself. Then from that, you have a base. You have a building block. And just like everything else, you just continue to build. Let me help you out. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I got to show you this because you may not know. I don't want you to think I'm talking out both sides of my necks. I don't want you to think that. Here's a brother right here. Abram Petrovich. This guy right here. Nationality Russian. Black guy. Let me show you. Was a Russian, listen to this, was a Russian military engineer general, nobleman of African origin. From African origin. Let me show you on another page. I know you guys hate Wikipedia. Abraham Petrovich Hannibal. Black man. General in Russia. We don't know things like this, family. We have always overcome adversity. Doesn't matter where we were. It does not matter where we were. And another thing, we always keep referring to ourselves as slaves. Our ancestors, they were enslaved Africans, and they were also great people that for some strange reason that we don't understand, throughout the course of slavery, there were many rebellions. We just didn't take this ass whooping and enslaved and working hard for nothing. We didn't take it laying down. See, there's a lot of things in history. There's a lot of things in history that keeps us pacified, that keeps us nonviolent. I'm going to show you two more things and I'm going to get out of here. I'm just going to show you this. You guys don't know about stuff like this, and I'm just trying to teach you. The black rulers of India. Deep in Indian history, there lies a long forgotten tale of daring heroes who, although foreign to the land, quickly got assimilated into her blood and added to her magnificence. See, we think when we think about curry and all the things you see in India and Thailand, people on elephants, we were already doing it in Africa. This is a story of the first African rulers of India. Ladies and gentlemen, you most definitely have to do your research. Because see, this information is not about it being forgotten. It's not being taught. If you're not teaching your kids African/Black history, then what the hell are you teaching them? PlayStation? Xbox? Hopefully you're teaching them Microsoft C++ or Linux or JavaScript or some sort of computer software engineering programs. Because hopefully my son can get on a list like this. Hopefully your son and daughter can get on a list like this. Now, I know a lot of you would like to take back this brother right here who invented the urinalysis machine. So you guys don't get caught up on marijuana at your government jobs. You're like, damn, Dewey Sanderson, why did you create this? Dewey Sanders created this. The first refrigerated truck. Now, let me leave you guys with this. These guys right here. Now, I know this guy's Lewis Latimer with the glasses because he was on Edison's team. And this is Gerd A. Morgan over here. Let's go through this very quickly. The ironing board, we went over that back in 1892 by Sarah Bone. Okay. Home security system, I told you, Mary Van Britton Brown. Okay. I'm just showing you. The traffic light, invented by Gerd Morgan back in 1923. We won't even get into this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen, how an African slave in Boston helped save generations from smallpox. Listen, we're not going to get into it. I could be here all day. Refrigerated trucks invented by Frederick McKinley Jones in 1940. Okay. Automatic elevator doors. I told you about that. Invented by Alexander Miles in 1887. Electric microphone co-invented by James E. West back in 1964. Lewis Latimer, carbon light bulb filament invented by Lewis Latimer. And see, what you guys understand is this. The filament is that spring in the middle, right? When you see your light, remember the old light bulbs that used to always pop? You know that little thing in the middle that sustained the energy so it can illuminate the light? That brother. Without the filament, you don't have the light. Who cares about the light bulb? You can make the fittings, you can make the glass bulb, but without the filament, there is no light. And as we went over, the word more is enlightenment. I'm just trying. I ain't going too deep, I promise. I'm not going too deep. Color IBM PC monitor and gigahertz chip co-invented by Mark Dean. We have always been inventors and creators. But see, this information is not taught in your school. See, what I've noticed growing up in DC was a blessing, okay? As far as the neighborhoods I grew up in, because I went to black schools, and black schools throughout the year talk about black history. It wasn't Black History Month. I learned about a lot of these people in high school, in middle school. But what I noticed is when I travel around the country to different states, even some of the black schools, they wasn't teaching people like Mark Dean. They wasn't teaching people like Charles Drew, who came up with the blood transfusion. They wasn't teaching people like, what's the dude in the White House? Urban development guy. Got his name. Damn. They weren't teaching people like Vivian Thomas, who developed the system to cure people of the blue baby syndrome. They wasn't coming with people up like that. They was not. Because Lewis Latimer not only created the filament, but he's also was on the team that created the telephone. The question is, what are you teaching yourself and what are you teaching your kids? Are you guys just getting up every day and not learning a damn thing? You don't know where you come from. You don't know who you are. You come from a very great people. You come from a very great continent. I talk to black people every now and again about history and where we come from, and automatically I say, well, you know, yeah, I know we're from African descent, but we don't really got any ties to that land. You have spiritual ties from that land. You have spiritual ties from that land. When you hear African beat, it don't matter what the beat is, right? Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear an African beat, it don't matter if it's Afro beats or Jamaican music, you can still dance off of it. Why is that? Why is that? You have a spiritual bond, you have a spiritual tie, you have an ancestry bond to the continent of Africa. Whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. And you need to start understanding some of the inventions, some of the developments that our people have done throughout the course of time, whether it be there or in this land right here. I wonder what you see in the mirror. I know what I see. I see a great person. I see someone who still has not fulfilled his destiny, who will continue to use the rest of his life to do so. I see a teacher. I see a moderator. I see a person of great wealth. And it doesn't have to be all about money. The wealth of knowledge, the wealth of enlightenment, the wealth of incitement. Because if I could, the light that I bear, I would like to shine it on you. So you can come out of the darkness and recognize who you are. You can't steal their achievements, but you can make your own. I want you to start showing yourself and start showing your kids who they are. The school system, they're going to teach them about George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Jackson and all of these white prominent people that don't mean shit to you and your family. But see, every time you pick up a piece of paper, African descended people. Writing, African descended people. Astrology, African descended people. Cosmology, African descended people. Chakras, the points of energy, African descended people. Talking, African descended people. Yes, the first words are from Africans. They're by the Sand people, also known as the Bush people. Some people nickname the language as the click language. You know that when people make those funny sounds about how Africans talk about, but that was in that is in language. The different clicks, the different sounds. And we understand that that language over time has turned into what we now call as words. See, those sounds were words, but now those sounds transfer into words, phonetic sounds. Because out of the click language came the language of Xhosa from South Africans. So everything that we know of today originated, discovered, and invented in Africa. So when you think about medieval times and how they had swords, and some of you may think, in Africa, we just had sticks and bats and arrows. We had metal too. The Nigerians are the one who curated the metal elements and knew how to shape metal. But they was using it for art. They was using it for mass. They wasn't using it for war. When you think about the Stone Age, when you think about cavemen, do you think of Africans? Africans never lived in caves. They knew how to construct the earth, the mud, to build a structure, a home. They knew how to use the tree leaves and straws to build a roof and make it waterproof. They used to use the hide of animals to layer the roof to make it waterproof. They understood that, well, when the rain hits my body, does the rain go inside my body or does it just make it wet? So they understood that some animals was impervious for their insides to be wet. So they would just scathe the animal, put the animal skin on top, put some straw, some leaves, put it all together, intertwine it, sew it up together. Boom, waterproof roof. Who would have thought of it? We have. So stop thinking when you look at these movies, these shows, I like them too. When you start looking at Spartacus and you see all these large castles and structures and metal and swords, that they're the ones who invented castles and swords and metal. No, we are the ones who developed it. Africans went from the Stone Age to the Metal Age, while everybody was still in the Stone Age, to the Bronze Age, then to the Metal Age. How do you think they discovered metal when the Moors were traveling the world? They was bringing herbs, spices, metal, clothing. Where do you think they got silk from? And then when they start stealing us, trading us, okay, from our homeland, we are the descendants of those great people. So when I go back to this list that I've been showing you guys all day, okay, we are the ones who have done so many things that has contributed to this world that we will be outshunned and outshined because of what we see on TV. Remember when we used to watch TV, we were either dancing, shuckling, jiving, telling jokes, or we were gangsters and killers, or we were homeless and poor. But you never would see a movie, a good movie like a show like Spartacus, but picture Spartacus in Africa, but with African wear and traditions and culture of the Moor warriors. Because Moors were known as warriors too, not just explorers and navigators, but warriors. And all the different contributions that we made. As I told you before, the Ugandans are the ones who came up with the C-section. And Robert, what's his name, Felkin, an English, actually observed the procedure firsthand even before it even reached any other part of the world. The Ugandans came up with that procedure. And they used antiseptic in the form of banana wine to do so. The baby survived, and so did the woman survive. While white women and Indian women in these other countries were dying when they couldn't get the baby out of the vagina. You got to know who you are, people. Hopefully, I've shed a light on somebody today. Hopefully, I've enlightened somebody to be who they really are today. I don't care where you are right now, but I really need you to start building so you know where you can be tomorrow or the next day. There's not an instant thing. It's going to take hard work and time. But you first have to work on you. Work on you, build. Work on your kids and build. If you're not doing that, because a lot of us, I just want to own my own business. I want to make a lot of money. You don't know who you are yet. You don't even know who the hell you are for you to go out and do something. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you come from? Do you know your history? Why do you believe that they continue to discredit our contributions to this world? Because they understand if a people know their history, then you know who the hell you are. If the only thing they show you that your women are prostitutes and argumentative and fighters and that you are a thug and a gangster, that is what they show us on TV. That is what they show us on the news. But they will show you African kings and queens and castles and where you come from. And that in Africa, they had kingdoms that were vast. They were built up with sticks, with stone and bricks. And when we came out of here and we were brought into slavery, how we started to invent things to make processes easier. How some of the slave masters were stealing the inventions of their slaves, and they were getting credit for it. Family, I want you to start walking in the shoes of your ancestors. I want you to start understanding where you come from. Understand, regardless if you like it or not, we are all descendants of African beings. We are all descendants of African enlightenment and light, of very intelligent people. Even our ancestors here that came in America through slavery and all the contributions they made to this world. I want you to understand, most importantly, who you are. There's no more excuses. Stop waiting around for somebody to give you a job. Stop waiting around for somebody to give you a stimulus package. Stop having your hand out on what the government's going to do for you. Build your own government right there in your house. Build your own exchange system right there in your house. If something has not been invented, go and invent it and stop making excuses. If our African brothers and sisters can use sticks, stones, bricks, water, and a little bit of heat to make metal, to make houses, to make huts, to observe a certain thing and come up with astrology and cosmology, to make paper, to make a writing form, to have the first language, to settle lands, to build governments prior to any other Western nation doing that, then you don't have any damn excuse. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and learn all of your history, whether it be from Africa and also this country we live in. Know who you are.